Next Monday, Carl's going to be on our call. And if you guys, I'll open that up to whoever wants. If y'all want to join us, you're welcome to.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, definitely send the link over if you don't mind, and
Okay.
we'll share it here. Okay, cool. Meg, do you have everybody else muted right now? Yeah, and we're recording. So let's roll. Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm super excited to get this call kicked off. I met Chris a few years ago, and he has given me all of the guidance that I have in really learning how to work genealogy and place coaches and just get creative to make sure we're maximizing what we can in our business and with the compensation plan. And Chris is not connected to our team or our downline, but he is one of the most generous people I've ever met in Beachbody, with just giving freely of his time and his knowledge to anybody that he can help. And I am eternally grateful for that. And I know you all will be tonight too, after hearing from him. He is literally full of knowledge. So if there's any questions in your mind that are coming up about the compensation plan, coach placement, all of that stuff, building volume and rank and all the things, make note of them and be sure to ask those questions tonight, because we have somebody that really is a wealth of knowledge for you. So I'll introduce Chris properly as well in Beachbody world. He's a 5-time elite coach, and he's a lifetime 10-star diamond. He has 5 business centers, which is amazing. And him and Cody were the first, that's his wife, were the first couple to go elite 3 times together. And he's also in the Million Club, meaning he's cumulatively earned well over $1 million in earnings with Beachbody. And he's a former member of the CAB, the Coach Advisory Board, which is, if you guys don't know who the CAB is, that's a small group of people who represent us as coaches to make sure our voices are always heard to corporate. And they're the ones responsible for all the things that you guys always want that then come into fruition, even if you don't see the back end of that. So thank you for your time serving on that board, Chris. I know you did a lot on there, and I saw that happen as well firsthand. So thank you for being with us tonight. I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're excited to learn. I hope you guys all have a notebook ready to take some notes.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. And it's my pleasure to help. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of background about myself and how I got started. In 2009, I was creeping up on 300 pounds, and I was a cop just outside of Fort Worth. I was the at the time I was the SWAT team leader for my police department, and I was a patrol sergeant. And I got to a point where I was like, all right, I've got to do something, because, when I'm chasing somebody and I jump on a fence and the fence falls down, instead of me climbing over it, I was like, okay, I might be too heavy. And I had P90X at home. I bought it because they said it was hard, right? I don't actually even remember watching or what I was doing watching the infomercial, because I didn't normally watch infomercials. But basically, their pitch was, this is really hard. And I was like, well, they're not pulling any punches, and they're not telling me that I'm going to have abs in 6 minutes or whatever. So I'm going to give this thing a shot. And so I ordered it, and I did it for like 3 weeks, and I was getting amazing results. And then I decided to go to the movies, or I got a cough or whatever, and then I stopped, and didn't do it again for like 2 years until, as the SWAT team leader, I had implemented a physical fitness standard that you had to maintain to be on the team. And I almost failed my physical fitness standard. So and a lot of, Texas good old boy cops weren't happy about the standard because they didn't get to stay on the SWAT team. So when I almost got kicked off because of my physical fitness standard that I implemented, I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I dusted off P90X, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it for real. Now, I was a customer lead assigned to my coach, and I reached out to him after about a week or so, and because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to miss a workout, but I'm still going to eat my pizza and drink my beer. And I'm certainly not, spending a bunch of money on supplements. This was before Shakeology, but I wasn't going to do any of those things. And then about 3 days into it, I was like, man, I'm really busting my ass here. I'm not really sure that, drinking beer and eating pizza after, busting my tail for an hour is exactly what I need to be doing. So I said, okay, I'm going to do that, but I'm still not going to do any of these supplements. And then about a week later, so I was like, okay, now I'm eating tuna out of a can and drinking water all day and I'm working out this hard. So why would I not be using some of these supplements? And, the analogy that I use is, to begin with, you got a race car and, you got this car and you're like, okay, but you know what? I'm just going to put regular unleaded in it. And, and so you get regular unleaded performance out of it, but then you go up and you put the higher tier stuff in there and it works a little bit better. And then you put some, tweak the engine a little bit or whatever, and you're getting the best that you can out of that car. And so that's kind of what I decided that I was going to do. And I actually reached out to my coach and I was like, hey, it's weird because y'all don't even, probably none of y'all remember, but it was weird when you would go to teambeachbody.com, right? Because this was actually like almost before Facebook. There was a little square at the bottom, a little banner where this girl, she was holding a card and she's like, be a coach. And I was like, a coach, what in the world is a coach? And, I certainly can't be a coach. I'm too fat to be a coach. But I did see that they got 25% off. And at the time, I was buying recovery formula and I was buying protein bars. And I was like, so 25% off. And the math worked out to where it was going to be about breaking even. So I called my coach, or I think actually I messaged him on AOL Instant Messenger, right? And I was like, hey, I think I want to be the coach. And he was like, cool, that's awesome. Let's talk about it. And so, he messaged me and sent me some information or whatever. And we did a call and I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up tonight. And I'm steady doing my workouts, and then I didn't sign up, and and he messaged me like the next week and he's like, hey, you still thinking about signing up? And I'm like, oh yeah, totally going to do it. Going to do it tonight, and I didn't. And, and did it. Like I eventually went to a biz op, right? Which kind of morphed into super weekends or super Saturdays. And this is a really long intro or whatever I'm doing here, but I'm just telling you who I am. This is my journey. Okay. And I hadn't told the story in a day or two. So I went to this biz op and it was funny. I was a midnight shift cop and I'm there and I start talking about it. Okay, I need to go to this. And my friend who, Charlene Bucher, who was a founding coach, but she's left the company since, but she was hosting this thing. And I'm thinking about signing up, right? And so I'm looking at the itinerary and it's like from 9 to 10 is the diamond meeting. And then from like 10 to noon is the business presentation. And like, this is how naive I was about all things Beachbody or even just basic etiquette, I guess. Because I messaged Charlene and I was like, hey, I think I'm interested in this Beachbody thing, but I work midnights. And so like, I'm going to be working all night and there's no way I can stay up until noon. So how about if I just come and hang out for that diamond meeting? And she was like, okay. And so that's what I did, right? And so I go to this diamond meeting and it's Jason Diebold and Barbie Decker and Stephanie Richardson and Melissa and Robert Hudgens and, all of these people who are, millionaires now. But I sat there and I listened to them talk because when, I told my wife and I told everybody else, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam. But if it's not, and it's like legitimately up to me, then I'm going to crush it, right? Because everything in my life that I had decided to do, like really decided, hey, I'm going to do this, then I succeeded. I was like, hey, I want to be a cop. I'm a cop. Hey, I want to be on SWAT. I'm SWAT. Hey, I want to be a sergeant. I was a very young sergeant. And so I'm not, and so I'm just trying to say that if it was really up to me, then I was going to kick ass at this. And so, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to them and it's funny because they actually were talking about genealogy at that time. And I didn't have any idea what they were talking about because like they had just decided, hey, you know what? We should choose where our coaches go. And we should make what's called, I remember Melissa Hudgens, she goes, a power leg, right? Like we're going to build in a straight line, because everything else was just going all over the place. They were just putting them everywhere. But they were talking about making money. And I was like, and I'm sitting there, my head shaved, I'm 3 months in, I'm finishing my first round of P90X, so I'm in good shape. But I mean, the pictures are crazy from then, the look that I was throwing down. But I was like, man, this is legit. They're not sitting here talking about money just because, there's some bald guy sitting in a circle with them and that not even going to sign up with them. And so I came home. Now there was one other aspect of this that I noticed outside of Robert and Hudge. It was all ladies, right? And most of them were relatively attractive ladies, or or whatever. But I came home, and so my wife is an attractive lady, and she's got a twin sister who is obviously relatively attractive too. And so I came home and I'm like, okay, so it's not a scam, but it seems to be better if you're a pretty girl. So maybe you guys should sign up and I'll just help y'all. And they were completely not interested. And so I signed up and I was like, okay, if I sign up, or I'm going to do this. And if it's up to me, then I'm going to crush it. And so I signed up. I went Emerald in the first week. I made Diamond in 6 weeks. And, just haven't looked back since. I made Success Club like I don't know. I've got like 103 months in Success Club or 104 months in Success Club or something like that. And and Success Club is it's a non-negotiable. If you're serious about this business and you don't make Success Club, then you're not really that serious about this business. One of the things that I realized at some point as the business progressed, because the first Success Club trip, I saw that somebody has been here. Megan has been here at least 9 years. But the first trip, all you had to do was make Success Club 9 months, out of the year, and there you went. But when I realized, okay, you know what, I'm not going to miss Success Club, is when the people that I signed up and they bought challenge packs or whatever that I got into Success Club, I didn't know them last month, right? And so when I did that, I was like, all right, I'm never going to meet everybody in the world. And if I haven't met right now the people that I'm going to help and get into the Success Club with next month, then, I'm always going to make Success Club. And so it's always kind of been a no-brainer for me to do that. And so, I signed up. My wife eventually decided that she wanted to do something with the business. She was working at a Mother's Day Out program, and I was like, hey, actually how that went with my wife, because this business, it's like a snowball, right? Or pushing a car or something like that. If you're pushing this car by yourself, it's like stupid hard, and you're like, man, it's really a lot of work just to move this car just a little bit. But then you get a few friends that show up, and suddenly now you're all cutting up and you're joking and you're laughing because the car doesn't weigh hardly anything if you got other people helping you. And so like every week, like that first week I made $16. And I called, or I'm sitting there and I'm on the computer a lot, right? This was like before smartphones even. So I'm on the computer all the time. And my wife is not thrilled with this, right? She's like, you're always on Facebook now and you're always doing this, because I got on Facebook. And I was like, I made $16. And she's like, yeah. And you've been on the computer for like 40 hours, And I was like, well, I'm just going to give this thing a whirl. And the next month or next week, it was like, hey, I made $48. And she's like, that's great. That's like $1.08 an hour or something like that. That's fantastic. But eventually it got to a spot where I was like, hey, baby, I made $160. And really, she was like in there doing the dishes or whatever, or, she could have been doing whatever, right? So she's in the kitchen though, and she's like, wait, you made how much? And she comes in and she sits down next to me. She's like, okay, so explain to me what you're doing. And I'm like, aha, I got a partner, right? And so for all of you people who have spouses that are like, not thrilled with what you're doing, show them the money, right? Do it effectively and show them the money. And guess what? They'll stop bitching about it. because, and like, let's say it's your husband, for example, is bitching about or whatever. You don't have to just show him the money, but whatever. You know what? Go buy him a fishing rod or something and be like, hey, guess what? I just bought this with my beach body money, and give it to him and just show, and they'll stop complaining. When you start showing them what this is capable of, not only will they stop complaining, that they'll actually maybe start doing some of the back end stuff, that you can that you can work with. But so I want to talk a little bit then about my journey as a coach, right? Okay, and so it was very much like that P90X workout, right? So like I told my coach, right? I'm messaging him on AIM, and this was like as I'm getting ready, like basically about to sign up or whatever, and he's like, I'm like, okay, so is this one of these things where I'm going to have to like recruit all my friends and I'm going to be really annoying them? And he's like, well, that's a part of the business. I'm like, yeah, totally not going to be doing that. And he's like, okay, well, whatever, and so he's like, but you need to get on Facebook. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll get on Facebook, but I'm certainly not going to be friends with anybody that hasn't been to my house, because I don't need to be one of those people that has like, hundreds of Facebook friends that I've never met in real life before. And he's like, well, I don't know. That's kind of how the business works. And, and so I went to him with all of these things, and I would be like, I'm not going to do this. And he was like, well, that's what successful coaches do. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a successful coach, so I guess I'm going to do that. And so on and so on and so on until, I got in, I friended everybody that I could think of. Facebook, I know I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but Facebook is still kind of my thing. I haven't really started jacking around with Instagram a whole lot. But, I friended everybody. And it's funny, I was talking so long, but that's okay. I like this. Like I friended everybody that I went to high school with, right? And there's another high school just right a few miles down the road. And so I had some mutual friends with people from there. And so I started friending all of them, right? And I didn't know any of them, but I had, common friends with them. And so I just started friending all of them. And I can't tell you, like LD Bell is that high school, right? I went to a high school called Trinity, and LD Bell was our rival high school. And I'm telling you, every now and then I think about, at least back then, these guys, all these LD Bell guys, and they're sitting at a bar or sitting in a house or whatever, and they're like, hey, man, I got a Facebook request from Chris, and he's like friends with all you guys, but I don't remember him. And, and I just imagine going around the circle, and everybody's like, I don't remember the guy either. I just accepted it because, he was friends with you. And he's like, and it just goes all the way around, because that's just how I built my business. And you can still do that when you go to your friends list. You look and it says suggested friends on their friends list. If you got 5-6 people in common with them, then shoot them a friend request, because that's still building your net is a big way to go and do things. So I'm about to start talking genealogy here, but I want to share one other thing after I take a drink out of my Shakeology cup, right? Because they're big cups. But anyway, the thing that we have to understand is that work in this business, it's not really magical, and sometimes it's mundane, and success is inconvenient a lot of times, right? These people who throw down 60 or 100 points a month, they don't have some sort of magic Facebook group or magic program where they're like, hey, challenge packs are on sale, and somebody's like, hey, me and my 3 sisters are all going to buy one. That place doesn't exist, but they talk to more people than we do, right? I've never seen 30 points. I think my highest is like 28 points. But, I'll never see 100 points because I'm not going to work that hard, and and I'm just being honest with you, because if you don't make Success Club, it's because you didn't talk to enough people. And when people come to me and they're like, and they tell me how serious they are about the business, And I'm like, well, hey, did you make Success Club? And they're like, no, I had 4 points. And I'm like, well, what happened? I thought you were serious about the business. And they're like, well, my cousin was going to buy it, but then they said, that they needed to wait a week. And I'm like, well, I wasn't talking to your cousin. It's not your cousin's responsibility for you to make Success Club. It's your responsibility. So who else were you talking to? You need to have a plan A through Z, and then you start on the numbers, so that you never, ever miss Success Club. It's not your neighbor's responsibility for you to make Success Club. It's not your cousin's. It's not anybody else's responsibility. When I ask somebody why they didn't make Success Club, and they tell me because somebody else didn't do anything, they're full of crap. It's not because somebody else didn't do something. It's because you didn't do it. So my upline coach is Monica. Well, she was Ward then. I think she's Monica Kuhn now. But I had kind of outgrown my coach. We butted heads on a couple of things, and so I ran into Monica at Summit, and I was like, hey, my name's Chris, and you're my upline. I think I'd like to work with you if you got some time. And she's like, okay, cool. And so, she lives on the beach and she's in the Millionaire Club. And no, I'm not in San Diego. I'm in Texas. But so, I knew that she was very successful and she was in my upline. And so I was like, okay. On my first call with her, I'm sitting in my squad car, right? I just finished eating in Subway, or I'm eating my Subway, sitting outside of the Subway in the squad car. And I'm talking to her and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And she's like, well, the first thing that you need to do is, I really want you to dive into this personal development deal. And it was a goal setting seminar, right? And I had just come back from Summit, my first Summit, I think. And, put Summit on a credit card and used all my vacation time and yada, yada, yada. And so she's like, I want you to go to this goal setting class. And it's in Arizona, right? I'm in Texas. And I was like, Jiminy Christmas, I was like, okay, well, that sounds great, but I don't really see me going to Arizona anytime soon. I just spent all my money and used all my time off to go to Summit. And she's like, okay, well, I think that, it's important that you go if you're able to. And then she told me some other stuff, but that was really like the crux of what we were talking about, was getting to that seminar. And so, we hung up the phone and I was sitting there and I'm like, man, what an ass. How stupid am I? I'm talking to this woman, right? I'm like, hey, I need your help, right? Tell me if this sounds familiar, right? I need your help. Tell me what to do. And she says, do this. And I'm like, oh, I don't have the time or the money for that. Right? I'm like, I'm a freaking loser challenge pack customer who, comes to me and I'm like, hey, I need to get in shape and feel terrible. What should I do? And, you're like, well, you need to, buy this challenge pack and let's start doing some stuff. And they're like, oh, I don't have time or money for that. And so, I started working extra time and figuring out a way I could do it. I called the place and I was like, hey, how many people do I need to bring for you guys to come out here to Texas and do it here in Texas? And they were like 30 and I found like 3. So I was like, okay, that's not happening. And so I went to Arizona and I roomed with Dave, and the seminar was cool. It was a lot of fun, and it was cool to meet Dave and hang out with Dave. But the thing that taught me, really, like I said, was that success is inconvenient, right? And that I had to do what the person that was in the position that I wanted to be in, I had to do what she said. When I said, hey, how do I do what you did? And she tells me I don't need to give her the reasons that I can't do it, because she can't change what she did to get there to accommodate me, because I'm busy and I work 12 hours and 12-hour shifts and about 60 hours a week. The path doesn't change based on me. The path is the same thing. It's just whether or not you're going to do it or not. And I was like, dude, I am, somebody who comes to me and says, hey, I need your help. And then they tell me all the reasons that they can't do what I said. And I want to be like, well, fool, what'd you talk to me for in the first place for? Why are you bothering me? Go talk to somebody else who, you're not going to listen to. But that's part of this business too. We have to understand. It's like they said in the that lady said in the Super Saturday video or Super Weekend video. You can't be emotionally invested in the yes or no when you're talking to these people. So that was a really really important moment for me, where somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I want to accomplish this. I want to make $500 in a week. Okay, cool. How much, when do you want to make that by? 2 months. Okay, it's totally doable. How much time are you going to put into this? A good solid hour a day. Okay, well, that's not going to happen then. Let's reassess. We either need to up our time or we need to lower our money, because I'm not going to blow smoke in your ear. Okay, because I'm just going to tell you, this is you are your own employee, right? And so you get paid exactly based on the effort that you're putting into this, right? I will tell you that your business right now is exactly where you deserve it to be based on the time and the effort that you put into it. It's nobody else's fault. Even if you're on an inside leg or whatever, all of that stuff, there are people who've kicked ass and they have accomplished, way more money than I earn. And that's just because they worked harder, Your business is exactly where you deserve for it to be. And the thing that, okay, my last point, then we'll talk genealogy. The thing that I want you guys to understand, or what I tell other people is, people are like, oh, you know what, I'm worried about what they're going to say. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. And I'm telling you, you've got the wrong mindset then, right? So if you're on this call and you're excited about being a Beachbody coach, and you're excited about the programs because they work, and you like Shakeology because you know that it's good for you, then why in the world would you be worried about telling somebody else that? You're doing them a favor. You're doing them a favor by having that conversation. If they come into this and they build this business, it's going to change their life. It's going to dramatically change their life. If they come into this and they order a challenge pack and they follow that program and they do what they're supposed to do, it's going to change their life. Right? That's what I said. That's the mindset that I had that allowed me to not be afraid to talk to other people. Is, I tell people, and I get goosebumps when I say it too. Still, I'm like, I don't care whether it's the business or whether it's a program. If you do this and you do it right, it will absolutely change your life. And you're lucky I'm having this conversation with you. I leave that part off, but in my head, you're lucky I'm having this conversation with you, because right now, if you jump in and you do this, it's going to change your life. One of my coaches, Ryan Crocker, his wife is Joan Crocker, and she's a 10-star or 11-star, something like that. And it's funny, she's blown up. He's still kind of, he's doing the back end stuff. This is more her forte for whatever reason. He's stupid shredded now, but anyway. It's funny. I remember when I talked to him. I'm just rambling here, but so this guy, one of the most. This is important note about follow-ups. Don't forget to follow up with people, right? This person and his wife basically represent almost half of my downline now, right? And so I was actually in a Beachbody leadership retreat with my leaders after Summit. And we were in Utah, and I'm sitting out there and I'm looking at the mountains or whatever, and I'm thinking, man, my life kicks ass. This is awesome. And my Facebook Messenger goes off, and it's a message, and it's from Ryan, and it's like, hey, I think I'm ready to sign up to be a coach. And I was like, okay, cool. Or actually, I saw that, right? And then how like you see the last message that somebody sent you. Well, the last message that he'd sent me 2 years earlier was, hey, I think I'm ready to be a coach. And I replied, cool, I'll send you some information. And I did it. And luckily for me, 2 years later, he's still thinking of me, and he's like, hey, I think I want to be a coach. And this time, I didn't say, hey, I'll send you some information. I called him, right? And he's like, we have this conversation, and I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here, I'm in Utah with all these people that some of them it's the first time I ever met, and I'm telling you, if you do this and you do it right, it'll change your life, fitness, financially, and we're going to travel the world together. And we do travel the world together. He goes on every Success Club trip. He lives in Maine. He's been to my house many, many times. I've been to Maine. I've gone to visit him. If you do this and you do it right, we'll travel the world together. I get so excited about this. I was a cop for 17 years. I left the police department when my Beachbody money had tripled what I was making as a sergeant. There was a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people that are alive today because I did something cool or hero-y or whatever and saved their lives. And there's some people alive today because I didn't shoot them when they needed it. But there's more people that are going to have benefited. I'm going to have done more good for more people than in my Beachbody time than I did as a cop, for a couple of reasons. One, because the people that I'm helping, they actually want my help, right? It's not somebody who, they're like, oh, my kid stole my TV. And I'm like, well, no kidding. Your kid's a crackhead and you keep letting him back in the house. He's going to keep stealing your stuff. Stop calling me, right? It's people that really want my help. There's 34 people on this call, and I'm telling you guys, if you do this and you do it right, you might talk to somebody who signs up and they sell a challenge pack. Or, they sign up another coach who signs up another coach. And then that person, maybe they only sell one challenge pack. They sell that challenge pack to a 400-pound man who's 25 years old, and he's not going to see 40. And he's got 3 kids. But because you had that conversation, and somebody had a conversation who had a conversation and then sold that guy a challenge pack, that guy is going to be at his graduation of his kids. The guy is going to hold his grandkids. That guy is going to be, those kids are going to be living a better life because of Megan or Abby or Ashley, because you guys had a conversation. After everybody on this call is dead and gone, there are people that are going to be living a better life because I bought a challenge pack, or I signed up to be a Beachbody coach, and I taught some people some healthy habits. And so they were able to build this business, maybe, not stop working so much overtime, or maybe this is their full-time business now. And so they're completely involved in their kids' lives. And so those kids are going to grow up and they're going to have a more enriched childhood. And so they're going to grow up and they're going to grow up to be better parents who are going to have kids who are going to grow up and they're going to be better parents. And so after all of us are gone, there's people going to be living better lives because we were Beachbody coaches and we talked to somebody. And that's what pushes me and that's what drives me about this business. That being said, we'll move over to genealogy. Okay, so genealogy is kind of my forte. This is really something that I've always been really interested in. So, my strategy is now spouse and a strong leg. If, it's not a deal breaker if your spouse isn't in a strong leg. Used to be that I used to tell people spouse and a weak leg, but I say strong leg now. And the reason that I do, let's say that you're going for diamond and you put your spouse in your weak leg. That means that you're going to have to build in your strong leg where you're not going to necessarily be earning money looking for that emerald. And then when you're trying to go 2-star, you're going to have to be building a diamond over there. Now, best case scenario, guys, is 2 family members, right? It's you plus 2. So, best case scenario is you've got a family member on each side of your organization as high up as they can be. Now, the reason I've got 5 CBCs, I earned 4 of them the traditional way. One of them, I signed up a relative of mine, and I have a notarized piece of paper says, in the event of my passing, I leave my Beachbody coach account number, Burka, to Chris Reed. So that's how I got my 5th one. But my grandparents, they have some accounts, or they have coach accounts. But but I got a boy who just turned 18 a couple of days ago, and I'm going to be transferring him into a spot, you know. So those family accounts, that's my plan for my kids, right? I've got two. My twins are 13 years old, and so, you know, I'm going to be building with the expectation that my twins are going to transfer into these spots when they turn 18. You know, and in the meantime, whether it's uncle or aunt or whatever, you know, they're using Shakeology and you know, helping out a family member. But I'm going to be transferring them in there. my son, when I transfer him into that spot, he's going to be making $80 a week doing nothing. Now, I'm not going to let him keep it, right? I mean, I'm going to put it in a college fund or something like that. But I mean, $80 a week for doing nothing. So, you know, that's pretty solid stuff. So, family member at the top of each side of the organization. Now, I say build in a straight line until you get to somebody that you love. Okay, so like I said, this would be really much better with a PowerPoint, but I don't do tech. So, if you imagine that, you know, your spouse is in your right leg, right? And if you go and you build on your right leg, then you want to graphically place your coaches, once your spouse is emerald, on the inside of that particular coach. And, you know, Abby, if somebody wants to like look at their organization, if y'all want to do that and screen share, then, you know, that might help some other people too. And I'd be happy to offer some insight on a particular specific situation. But, you know, because if your spouse is in your strong leg and you build all the way at the bottom, then you're not going to earn anything. But if you build on his inside leg and say he's emerald, right? And let's say you're diamond, okay? Then your spouse will earn $14 for every 100 points, and you're going to earn $1.40. So instead of earning nothing for 100 points, you earn $15.40. Yes. Okay. So Jamie, but you want to make sure that you want it to be in his weak leg. But yeah, so like if your spouse is in your weak leg, and let's say that his inside leg is also his weak leg, then if he's emerald and you're diamond and he's on your weak leg, then it actually works out better monetarily. Okay, because you put 100 points on his inside leg, he's going to cycle. He's going to earn $14. You're going to earn $18 as a diamond, and then you're going to earn $1.40 in matching bonus. So you're going to earn $33.40 instead of just a straight 18 if you'd built all the way down and built and put in his strong leg. Okay, so cycle bonus is the way that the comp plan works is you get paid, whether it's 14, 16, or 18, whenever 200 points comes out of one leg and 100 points comes out of another. And when that happens, then you can then you make cycle bonus, whichever that is. And so a lot of people, what they have is they might have a leg. They have a leg that, right, once you get emerald. Correct. Thank you, Megan. But you know, you have some people where they might have, say, 3,000 in one leg and 600 in the other leg. You know, so that's really easy to figure out how much they're going to earn, because you just multiply 6 times whatever it is that they're cycling at, 6 times 14 or 18 or whatever, and the rest of that stuff goes into carryover volume. Yeah, I don't know as far as getting them to join. I mean, I just tell them, hey, I'm signing you up. But I don't know. I've been married a long time, 24 years. I'm on the inside leg, get my strong and weak legs switch back and forth from week to week. You know what, Heather? So Heather, your legs are basically even, right? I mean, if your legs are close enough to where they switch back and forth, then your legs are even, and that's what you want. For a while, people used to talk about that you wanted that 2-to-1 ratio, but you don't want a 2-to-1 ratio because you're going to be leaving money on the table. If you've got your legs pretty much even like that, that means that you have almost no carryover volume. Now, carryover volume is great because it's like a savings account, but if you don't have that carryover volume, it's because you used it all, right? So it's almost I don't know. It's like this tax plan, right, where people are like they're not getting as much money back because they got it all through the year, you know. So instead of like being able to use that carryover volume at some point later in the future, you're getting paid for all of your volume all the way. So you want your legs to be even. And you know, like I said, if you want to look at your specific organization, if you want to, then I'm happy to do that. And yeah. Right. And so then here's the thing. Here's the thing about those family accounts too, right? Especially if you're not diamond yet. Okay, if you're serious about this business, you're making Success Club every month, right? And that means that you're going to be signing other people up. So let's say, for example, okay, so Kara, you sign your husband up, right? And if they're veterans, right, then you know that's cake, right? Because they don't have to pay anything for that. But you sign your husband up, and if you're not using the product that that you need, or you know that you have to order to hold his account active, then let him go inactive. If it's not going to affect your rank, then it doesn't matter. Like if you've got 4 coaches and one of them is your spouse on one side and the other one is, you know, your mom, and then you've got 2 like legit coaches, if you don't need stuff and you're the one paying for it, then pause it. You don't need, you know, because whether you got 4 coaches or whether you got 2 coaches, you're still emerald. So don't pay for those accounts unless you need them for rank. What other kind of question? What else? So I'll tell you on these family accounts, the other thing, especially if they're in the weak leg, if somebody's going to order something and they're not, and it's not something you're going to get Success Club points for, then put that order through your family account, right? So like if your spouse is in your weak leg, for example, or it's, you know, your mom in the weak leg or something like that, you sell a bag of Shakeology over there, but it's not home direct for some reason. So, you know, mom, maybe you, depending on how you've got it set up, earns $33, and then, you know, rounding up to 100 points, you earn $14 or $18. So instead of earning $33 for Shakeology, a Shakeology sell, you earn, you know, 47 or 51. You know, I had it for a while through my organization where I was making like $87.80 for a bag of Shakeology that I sold, because, you know, it went through my account, my wife's account, my dad's account, my wife's account again. And so, you know, the volume, it's like a money train, right? And so, you know, this volume's coming up, and each one of my family accounts represents a station where they have to stop and they take some money off of that train and they make a deposit in the Reed household. I think I'll have another coach signing, so should I have her on the week? No, you don't. Okay, so that's a great question. So you don't really need to start building inside until your spouse makes emerald, right? Because and I mean, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I mean, you know, because if for some reason you don't, you know, you decide this isn't for you or something like that, and or just whatever happens, and you've put that person on your spouse's inside leg, and then you stop building, you know, then you've kind of hosed them, right? So until your spouse is emerald, you want to just keep building in a straight line. But as soon as you make them emerald, then you would build on their inside leg. Does that make sense? What else?
While you guys ask questions there, I'll just add, so for those of you who are thinking about opening family accounts, or you already have them and you're worried about the money, like Chris was just talking about, if you have orders going through that aren't Success Club based orders, that's how you can keep that account active, a customer under that account. It doesn't have to be you putting more money in. If you're serious about the business, you're making sales every month, and say somebody's ordering the To Be Mindset base kit, you're not going to get commission on that. So you put that order through a family account, and then you can get you can make that account active. Does that make sense for those of you who are worried about the money? Yeah. Cool. While people are typing questions in here too, Chris, maybe we can give people like a play-by-play from like brand new, like kind of your tips on just building in general. Like, okay, somebody's a new coach, or, you know, they're just even Emerald. They only have 2 coaches. Maybe they don't have spouses and family signed up yet. How you would teach somebody to build. Like step 1, like sign family up in those top positions. Like step 2, am I building more coaches, and how do I decide which leg to place coaches on? Like I should decide and find out if I have a strong leg or a weak leg, or if they're pretty balanced, and I should put discount coaches that I think might be in which direction. Could you maybe give people like a little?
You bet. So if somebody has a strong leg, I tell them that they put one coach, and for me, it's the spouse in the strong leg. And then they build everything else on the weak side until they crack an emerald, right? So they might actually have 7 or 8 coaches on that other side, and then just the spouse over there, you know, and their spouse is going to be active, right? Because they control that account. So they're never going to lose rank, but this will allow them to build that first emerald that they need. And then when they have that first emerald, then they can go over and start building on the other side. And my personal strategy is I put a coach where I need them, because as opposed to based on what I think they're going to do, because I've got a terrible, terrible record for being like, this coach is going to be amazing. And then they're inactive, like, you know, 2 months later. So I put them where I need them, but not based on where I think that they are going to be. Let's see. So, you know, and that's pretty much it as far as, and, you know, like how I bring people in, or how I talk about the business, or when I was kind of getting started, was like, if you're an Emerald coach or something like that, you know, you might post, man, you know, went out, saw Captain Marvel last night, paid for with Beachbody money. That's awesome. Loving my little side gig. Or even, you know, don't even have to say Beachbody. It's better if you don't, you know, paid for it with money from my side gig. This is awesome. And then a couple months later, you're like, hey, you know, paid for my utilities, paid my water bill with my side gig money. That's awesome. You know, hey, paid for my car note with my side gig money, and so on and so on and so on. To where I had somebody eventually, you know, he messaged me and he's like, man, you know, I figured I better sign up before you tell me, you know, hey, bought a new helicopter with my side gig money, because they watch this transition, you know, first you're paying for a movie, then you're paying bills, then you're paying for your car, and then you're paying mortgage, you know, and so they know that this for real works. Okay, so Christy asked about a tax problem. So my dad is a CPA. He was a little concerned about that, but I ended up writing him a pretty big check. But I mean, he was a diamond making, you know, over $1,000 a week. So I would write him a check at the end of the year to cover taxes. But I mean, I think you have to make like $500, you know, to have it be claimed on taxes. So, you know, if she's not going past Emerald, then it may not be something that you want to do. But I mean, still really, if she's, I'm assuming then, Christy, that the money that account earns is going to you. Is that accurate? It's completely fine with me if it is. I'm just trying to understand, because certainly she wouldn't be worried about you making money for her that she would have to pay taxes for, because they certainly don't tax you at 100%. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, that's just a conversation really that you'd have to have with her, right? You just tell her, hey, you keep the money. I mean, we're just gonna have it direct deposited into your account and do whatever you want. You know, put it in a savings account for the kids' college, your grandkids' college, or something if you want. If you give it to me, I'm just gonna spend it, or whatever you have to, whatever you have to say to get her to do that. Is there any strategy for our strong leg then, other than making sure we have enough coaches? No, you know, I mean, that's it. You know, I mean, if you've got a strong leg, all you want to do, okay, there you go. I did. I don't remember answering that, but okay. All right. We probably got about another 10 minutes or so. What else can I help you with?
You guys can still ask questions. I'm going to see if my genealogy often, I don't know why, but the screen gets jacked up. But I'm going to share my screen for a second just in case it didn't make sense, what Chris was talking about, because often things don't make sense till you can see them. But if you click on graphical genealogy, you can see what Chris was talking about. Everybody has two legs, like he was saying, and you build in a straight line till you get to someone that you love. So the first person in my downline on my strong leg is my husband. So that's where he was talking about once your husband is at least emerald, that you can cut in to build on. So whenever I'm placing a coach personally sponsored by me on my right leg, I go to my husband's weak leg to place. So down here, here's my husband, and we follow it the whole way down. So I just keep clicking down on his weak leg the whole way until it gets weird and won't let me show you any further. But I can keep clicking down and down and down, and you're following this on the outside, the whole way down on the outside of their weak leg. And once I get to the bottom, we'll pretend like it's the bottom soon. We'll pretend like Becky's the bottom. I could click on Becky, and then it would say, do you want to set your preferred placement here? And I say save, okay? And then my next coach is going to go down here. So then, like he was saying, now instead of me placing a coach on my strong leg where I won't cycle, my husband cycles, and that's where you make money. So now I place that coach. They're personally sponsored by me. I earned the commission on that challenge pack, but the volume associated with that order created a cycle bonus for my husband. Does that make sense now? You can ask like questions based on that, because that might help you just see what he's talking about placement wise.
Right. So yeah, so if that's her strong leg, guys, if she builds all the way at the bottom right, she earns nothing, right? And her husband earns nothing for that 100 points. Okay, and you know, she would earn, of course, the commission for the challenge pack, but I'm just talking 100 points. But because the husband is a ruby, she puts 100 points on his inside leg. So now he earns $16, and she earns $1.60 as a diamond. So $17.60 as opposed to nothing. So obviously, $17.60 is better. And as far as placement, you can also. She can also just, in preferred placement, where it says select preferred placement, she can just put in her husband's coach ID and then click on bottom left, and it'll go down there. You don't actually have to go all the way down like that, but it's going to be, it's the same thing. All right, let me see. Yes, they are going to be on an inside leg, but that's where you're building, right? So you're building there. And so that's why it's not necessarily a bad thing to be on an inside leg in that particular situation. When we talk about, when you hear people talk about, I'm on an inside leg, you know, it's like because somebody signed up and they went emerald or barely did anything with the business, and and I was put on the inside. Like I was legitimately put on the inside leg of a random coach, not even sponsored by my coach. He just didn't have any clue what he was doing. And so I've never seen anybody from him or his organization. But if you're still building there, even though it's an inside leg, it's not what we traditionally think of as an inside leg. Yeah, just
share for. Or did somebody say something else? I was going to say, before we wrap up too, if you want to share kind of like also the goal for people long term of like why they want to build to 2-star diamond and how that then benefits like both sides of their organization to maximize their income.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, and somebody asked me real quick about, inside leg, any tips for that? I mean, it's just work the business. I mean, there's not anything secret to it. The thing is that you just got to go with you just got to build it. And, for all of you guys, for anybody ever, right? When it comes time for second CBC, you message me or whatever, and we'll look exactly at your organization, and I'll tell you this is where I would put it if I were you. But, if you've got, let's say you've got family members on both sides, right? And when you go to 2-star, that means you get to sign yourself up again, right? And so like you rock stars, you're like, man, if I could only find a coach like me, somebody as motivated as me. Well, guess what? Sign up, go 2-star, and you get to sign yourself up again. So you find a coach as motivated as you. And so then you put that coach or you put that account on the weak leg, may or may not be inside leg at that point, but you put that second CBC on the weaker leg of one of your other business centers. And so then, it just goes higher and higher and higher. Like I was talking about making $87 on Shakeology. If you put it on your weak leg, then, you make 100 points or you make $18. Your family member who might be one of your diamonds makes $18. And then the new coach, your second CBC, let's say it's Emerald right now, so it's making 14. So for 100 points of volume, because you've got 2 CBCs in your downline, one of them is spouse account and the other is the second CBC. That's 36. That's 50. That's $52, $53.20, something like that. So $53 instead of 18. That's why you want family accounts, and that's why you want to go 2-star, because that's when the money really starts coming in, and and it just keeps building and building and building. That's why for me, as soon as I went 2-star in my second CBC, I opened my third. I popped it to 2-star. 6 weeks later, opened my fourth, and that one took a little bit longer, but I never worried about building those others to 5-star or whatever, because I was just like, I want volume. I want as many accounts that say Chris Reed as possible. Yeah, I mean, when you start basically you're getting paid twice or maybe even 3 times for the same amount of work, right? The same amount of work. It's just where you're placing the coach. Exactly.
Love that. Guys, to like tie a bow on some of this stuff before we close it out here, we've got like 1 minute left. I just want to say, I want you guys to think about everything like this. If you're Emerald, which you should be if you're on this call, if you're not active Emerald, get back to active Emerald like this Thursday. Like take control of your business, get back to active Emerald this Thursday. And when you're active Emerald and you've learned and understood what volume means in your organization and how to build income, you never lose Emerald. And you get in a position where you never lose Emerald because you're in control, because you have those family accounts that you can keep active with sales if you don't have the money to put into it, or with your own personal product or whatever. But when you're Emerald and you stay active Emerald, you get to bank that volume in the savings account like Chris was talking about for carryover volume. But if you lose that, it washes away and it's gone again. So remembering that it's important to keep that emerald status and to build to that. And then the next important thing to remember is that your situation is going to be a little bit different, and you can message your upline sponsor, your diamond sponsor, if they don't know the answer, or me or Meg or Brittany, and we can help you figure it out too. If you have a strong leg or a weak leg, or if they're the same, what your building strategy is going to be, and you're working your way to 2-star diamond, and you're hustling there because you're in control of your business. You are in control of your business. And I hope that's like one of the biggest takeaways that you took from Chris today, is if you're serious about your business, you're hitting Success Club. If you're serious about your business, like, do what the people that you want to be where they're at are doing, and don't make excuses for it. Because if you heard Chris there, he built this business when he was working 60 hours plus a week, SWAT team sergeant. And if he can do it, you can do it too. And that's always the takeaway from all these calls, is that we look at these people where they are, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I willing to do the work to get there? Because the only person that is in control of this situation is you, and there's nobody else to blame. And the one I starred and underline, and I hope you all did too, is your business is exactly where it deserves to be right now. But the best part about that is you're the one in control to take it to the next level. So remembering these tips, and that, yes, we build in a straight line. We build in a straight line, outside, 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 till you get to somebody you love. So if you don't have a husband or a family account at Emerald yet, you're continuing to build in that straight line, but you look to the knowledge that Chris shared with you as your inspiration to why you want to build more, and how if you really want that income to double and triple, that is from building your account, building your spouse account, your family account, to Emerald, to you getting to Star Diamond ranks and being able to do that advanced fancy stuff. But the simple stuff is always going to stay the simple stuff, and that is that Success Club is where it's at. Talking to more people is where it's at. If you're not where you want to be right now, you're not talking to enough people, and the people who make more money than you or further along than you are talking to more people than you. So I hope those were huge takeaways for you as well. And, Chris is, like I said before, so generous. So you guys, as this is great knowledge and inspiration for you, as you get further along in your business, know that because he's trained me, and because Meg has all this experience as well and all this, we're here to help you, but he will also come talk to us again as you all advance in your businesses more and more. So thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate you and your time and giving up your evening to spend time with us. Is there anything else you want to close with?
No, I really enjoy doing this. It helps me stay motivated, and like I said, this is part of my legacy too now, right? Because you guys are going to go out there and you're going to kick ass, and you're going to change all of these lives. And 50 years from now, somebody's going to be living a better life, and I'm going to get to claim a little bitty part of that, because we're all in this together, and we're all pushing in the same way, same direction. It's life-changing stuff, guys. I mean, it really, really, there's not anything more. There's not a whole lot more noble than this, right? And so I don't want to go on another tirade, because I totally could, but I'll close with this. This is, if you look at like a lot of the coaches who really, really succeed in this, it's like nurses and teachers, and when it comes to guys, it's a lot cops and firefighters, and it's people who are like, man, when we were kids, we were like, I want to grow up and I want to help people, and then when we grew up and we started helping people, we're like, I wish I made more money helping people, and I wish I didn't have to work holidays and weekends, and and all this other stuff, and I wish I had my own schedule. And so that's why those particular people with that servant mindset succeed in this. And I'm telling you, I know you guys are busy, right? We're all busy. But the reason that I get to take my kids to school every day, and I get to go, I'm good. My kid he's in comic book. That's a class right here for some reason. He's in comic book. And so their field trip is they're going to watch Endgame on opening day. And so I get to go to that because I'm a Beachbody coach, and because I kicked ass in this business, and I busted my ass. I didn't let anything get in the way of building this business and building my fitness when I was getting started, right? I mean, I'm not as fit as I used to be, but you know, I mean, that's what makes me real too, right? Because I'll be like, man, you know why I've got a beer gut is because I drink too much beer. I should drink less beer. And, you know, but there are people that are I don't know if attracted to that's the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. I speak to them. But we're all busy, right? But when my kids, when I was starting out doing this, my kids would come in and it would be like, "Hey, Dad, come play with me. Come do this," and I'd be like, "Go away, son. I'm trying to spend more time with you," because I'm sitting here and I'm doing follow-ups and I'm working on this business. But because I was saying no, you know, or my wife would be like, "Hey, you know, let's go out with the Joneses." We didn't know what Jones is, but I can't think of anybody right now. But let's go out with the Joneses. And I was like, I can't, you know, I haven't done my workout yet. And she's like, "Jiminy Christmas, you know, every day you with your stupid workout. You should have worked out earlier." And I was like, well, I should have, but I didn't. And so now I can't go drinking because I didn't do my workout. And not that I was drinking then anyway, but it was a priority. My business was the priority, right? It wasn't that I, you know, didn't spend time with my kids at all, right? But the reason that I'm able to go watch Endgame with my kid now is because I made those sacrifices then. You make those, you know, what is Jim Rohn, right? Is it Jim Rohn says, you know, live for a while like nobody else wants to live, and then later you get to live like nobody else can. I completely butchered that, but that's the thinking, right? You make these sacrifices now so that you can have those rewards later. And anybody on here can do it, right? I mean, that was the other thing for me. When I went to another event and I talked to people and they were making money, you know, I was like, well, why not me? You know? And I would be like, okay, how long have you been doing this? And I would be like, okay, so you've been doing this for 6 months, and I'd be like, what are you making? You know, and some of them would tell me, some of them tell me go pound sand, but I'd be like, okay, so in 6 months, that's what I need to be making. You've been doing this 2 years, and I was constantly setting those goals. Emerald is a decision, right? If you're not Emerald, then you're not really serious about this business. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, you know, especially with U+2, you know, it's a decision. If you're not Emerald, it's because you're choosing not to be Emerald. And, you know, the thing that you want to do these things so that you can tell your other people, this is what I did. You want to be as successful as I am, this is what I did. And that's what you need to do to get where I am. So anyway, that's it. I think I'm done. Thank you very much for being on the call. And seriously, y'all jump on board with us next week if you want. I want to have a full house, and so I'm inviting all my little satellite teams or whatever you call it when everybody splits off and starts doing their own team calls. Now I do a team call and there's like 7 people on there because everybody else is running their own. But all right.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful night, guys.